It's Dreamer Frog. This video is about this certain thing, and it's a very difficult subject, and it's about humility. This is such a superpower. I wanted to respond to Reed. He's part of the group of Human Design, and we're just on school, and I am getting my community started, so I'm just sort of making videos and see where it goes. But I love the topic of humility because it's one of those things that no one likes to talk about. They don't understand what it is, and there's a bad word when you compare it to humiliation. But let's make this very clear from the start. What is the difference between humiliation and humiliated? Humiliation is that you're taking action that is inside yourself that typically would humiliate you, but you're no longer affected by it anymore. You've done the opposite, right? So you go from being shamed by your social group or the world for being who you are to the opposite, which is humility. I own myself, right? It's almost a self-sovereignty. And we're going to talk about the neck, because your neck is your receiver. So you actually receive information here, because our head receives information like a radio. They do create things, but they are, because I'm creating audio out of my throat, but actually that's not where it comes from. It comes from the diaphragm, you breathing in and out, so I can breathe out the air that goes through the throat, right? So it's actually created in down in your solar plex and your lung and your heart, but primarily it will be blocked right here in the neck, right? So I think I have an image of a skull here, has this navel cavity right here, and then you have your jaw, and then you have your neck. So breathing in and out from your nose, because if you look at the nose, look at how much larger it is than your teeth, right? How much bigger is that? They're almost the same, right? If you think about the amount of air that could pass through. So either you're going to breathe through your mouth, or you're going to breathe through your nose. But the thing about your nose is that breathing through the nose has this ability where it goes straight to your lung, straight to your diaphragm in the right pressure that the body needs. When you're breathing through your mouth, you're not going through the whole process of turning that air into a workable pressure, right? Because that pressure is what's going to move and circulate what is inside yourself, right? And then there's the throat. Because if I breathe through your mouth, there's not enough pressure for your throat to even be activated. And then you have your tongue, which is on the roof of your the top of the nose cavity. Right? I want you to think about it this way. The more that you breathe in the right pressure, you'll see the diaphragm move in and out more. And then that what gives you a better voice, by the way. That's what gives you better communication, clarity, intuition, and everything else. It's all based off of the pressure of your nose. Right? And if I have I have so much misalignment in my jaw, in my teeth, in my nose cavity. Like ever since I was a child, I had all these nose problems and things. And that's always bothered me. There's mucus and there's sinuses, all these things. And literally that stuff is what is blocking the circulation and that pressure that is right here in the throat too. And now we're going to do the real hard exercise. And this is what's going to give you humility. Now you understand that I've just taught you a whole technique of breathing properly. And there's no rule to how you breathe other than breathing through that nose so you can have that pressure, that tension that you're going to need. Right? Breathe in and out in whatever pace or manner you like. You could try faster or slower, right? That's getting right here. Body shaking. Oof. And that literally got down here in my gut, essentially. Because your spine is connected to the throat. There's so many muscle here. If we look at, so this is the skeleton, and look, I don't know much about the skeleton. I just know that there's just a lot of bones that are really important near your throat, right? And I have misalignment still right here, right? So there's this groove right here, and there's all of your ribs. Let's say all these bones. There's a lot of bone here that are there for protection of your rib cage, right? But remember that that's also protecting your heart, your energy, and who you are too, right? So like right here at the neck, I don't know if you can see it, but there, it's very hard to do, but there is a little bit of movement right here. So what I'm getting at is that when you have your whole muscle and your energy and your breathing all aligned, you're able to make that move a lot more because it's like a muscle that you're trying to train. It's very weak here. That's what I'm getting at. Most people have this very weak. They actually are not living in their full true self. I'm not either, Because literally it's physically impossible for me. People need to realize that a lot of their limitation is literally their physical body. Like your mental state, if you want to have a higher mental state, you gotta support it using your physical bones, your physical body, right? It's not easy to change someone because it's a physical body, right? You have to work what is there, like what you're given, right? I can't force myself to change the way that I use my hands, and they're all over the place. This is full peak energy. Look at all the different angles they're at. Like it's literally curved this way. Then this thumb is sticking out in a weird way. Like, I don't know. Tell me if that's good or not, but it feels awkward. The distance between them all are different. Right? The hand is so complex. And, I don't know what kind of misalignments based looking at this, what is natural and what isn't. But I can look at my feet and there's misalignment and the toes in a different position, right? And that will happen right up here. So, like all these things affect you spiritually. So I'm getting back to what humility really is. And it's about getting back into the body by a certain technique of not swallowing. So I'm going to be demonstrating what that actually means, because this could take an extra 10 minutes to show you just this alone. This is actually turned into just part one of just setting up the breathing. So I think I'm just going to leave it at that. But eventually you'll hit humility when you practice not alright, I'll try just a little quickly. I'll try it quickly. So I'm not swallowing. I don't know if you could see, if you see the neck, put on the frog hat like that. See, that tension was just released. You see the breathing, right? So you see how my shoulders are raising? So it's like almost like a disgust. So that's not swallowing. What am I doing? This technique is about releasing tension. I mean, you gotta be careful with it because it's like almost choking, but it's not, right? Because look at what's happening. Look at that. Hands are shaking a little bit. Now I have stuff in the spine now. God. Because now it's really, if you look at where I'm having issues, they don't number the spine, but I'm having it probably about, so I'm like, you see what direction I'm moving my shoulder in? I'm literally turning that spine back into place because it's twisted a little bit. Anyway, that's it for me for right now, but that's healing at its finest, is learning this technique and then combine that with other techniques, which is sexual healing, laughing Qigong. We should probably do that sometime. This technique, throat, breathing. Then there's eye techniques. There are hearing technique, actually. There's a good one. Sight. So there, this is your two eyes are right here. And then you have eyes here. Because if you understand this is your eyes, you can see using a separate body. And then there's the heart. I really struggle with the heart. So imagine like this twist is blocking my access to get the heart to work properly, and my rib cage is not as protected as it should be. And so what will happen is that I'm not able to store energy. So protection is what helps you store. So if you're a good protector, it's like you learn how to store compounding energy, right? So if you wanted to continuously grow in life, you need to learn how to protect and store, then compound that energy. But you also got to learn how to generate energy in the body. Typically that is your your sacral energy, your sacrum right here, which is the tailbone, and that's a lot of sexual energy going there. And then that has to do with the hips. These hips are going to do a lot of movement for your legs and your bone. So we got a lot to learn here, even myself, because I have a lot of flicking in this bone here. And you see these tendons? So essentially, like, I'm having this flicking to essentially align, like the flicking. I don't know if you can. You hear that? I should get you to look at that. That is flicking. That's getting the muscle back into place. You hear it? Isn't that crazy? So there's is the problem of the tendons here. You have so much tendon, and it's the connection between your muscle and your bone, and it's about strengthening the connection between the bone energy and the energy of the muscle. And so you have to strengthen the muscle itself to get the bone to align back into place, because that's what it's doing. When you have weak muscle, you're going to have weak tendons, which means a weak connection to the bone. And having a good strong tendons is like twice as strong if you're only using your muscle. If I was only to use my muscle, that's only 1 time the strength, as if I had bone, tendon, and muscle together, and that what binds the whole energy together in the body. So your bone, imagine your bone is one muscle for the whole body, and then the muscles are like the micro little fibers that make the whole thing run on its own, but it's the tendons that bind all those that big massive muscle, which could be like the bone, which is like the structure, which is like an energy muscle, because it's like a battery. Bone is very conductive. They're even trying to use graphite, because calcium battery, or like I'm sure one day they will figure it out where carbon is used for batteries. And anyway, what I'm getting at is that you have multiple muscles to use. That thing that can pick up stuff. So that's the end of this video. I hope that it's helpful or not. I don't care. This is my story. This is what I do. I'm going to put my frog hat on. One day I'll show you some combat moves too, because this stuff will teach you how to learn how to do combat. So if you want me to fight using a staff, because I use a staff to fight, and then I do some some of that stuff too. Anyway, have a good rest of your day. Bye.